Well, hi everyone. I'm here to talk about one of my personal projects, so it has nothing to do with my day-to-day job. It's just a personal passion, and my story is called Honoring Avicii with Data Visualization. You already had a short introduction about me. I'm a digital analyst, but I am also a digital explorer on the side. I really like to explore new technologies when they rise up, or when I see something interesting, I just want to find an excuse to try something with it. So I stand here not as a digital analyst, but as a fan of music. And my story basically starts with Avicii. I think you all know Avicii. Is there anyone who doesn't know him? Check. Oh, no. Do you have a favorite artist, right?
Yeah, but I'm really into jazz music.
Oh yeah, but everyone has a favorite artist. And my story basically starts on April 20th, 2018. And I don't know if you remember, but it was the day that Avicii sadly passed away. And what was really striking for me is that it was the first time that an artist I personally really liked passed away. So for me, it was the first time that a celebrity died, and it really hit me on a personal level. And I also saw his documentary, True Stories. And I don't know if anyone's seen the documentary, but I saw it just a week before he died. And it was actually ending on quite a positive note. So he was making his choice for himself. He was partying with his manager, and he just wanted to make music because that's what he wanted to do. And 7 days later, you get the news that he committed suicide. Yeah, it turned out that he committed suicide in the end. And I was just really hit with that because I had a really good positive vibe in my head around the artist, and he decided to kill himself. So I was thinking what's going on here? And I started thinking of ways of how I can use my personal, professional skills in analytics and data analysis to get a new understanding of his development in music. So what I did is I took his 3 releases that were available back then. So his first album is True, where the famous song Wake Me Up was released on. The second album was Stories, and just before he died he also released an EP called Avicii. And what I did is I converted all of his songs, all the song text, because he has lyrics to all the songs, into text files. And I did this with the great technology called copy-pasting every song text into a text file. And when I was just starting out with Python, that was the first time I was reading text files, and I actually accidentally deleted all the files. So I do it all over again. So I did this twice, and it's actually the exact amount of songs. I think it's about 36. And what I did next is I used the natural language API from Google. So Google, besides doing a lot of advertising and offering analytics platforms, they also have a whole cloud environment. And one of the things they offer is the natural language API. And this basically allows you to use the services from Google and analyze text, for example, on sentiment. So you can send text to Google, and it will tell you where it has positive sentiment, negative sentiment, and how strong the emotion is. And I stored all this data into an Excel file. And what's pretty funny is that his first album is called True, and I don't know if some of you who've handled data, but True is also a Boolean, so Excel turned it into a Boolean. So this is also another thing I had to correct. So I didn't think about Avicii this way, but actually, yeah, it was quite funny to find it. And then I used Matplotlib to visualize it, and I programmed this all in Python, and it's really dirty code I use, but I created a function in the end that does just this. So what you see here is the first line, for those of you who don't really program, is basically the function. So I run a scatter plot from a data frame, I put in a data frame, which is my data set, and I use a magnitude amplifier, which basically says whenever the emotion is stronger, I want to increase the size of the dot on the scatter plot. And this ended up in a sort of emotion grid, where on the left side you see negative songs, on the right side positive songs, on the bottom side songs with a weak emotion, on the top side the songs with a strong emotion. And this is the first album of Avicii, plotted based on sentiment. So what you see here is, on average, it's quite close to the middle, so quite neutral, so to say. And there's one really big outlier on the top left, which is a song called Liar Liar. I don't know if some of you know the song. It's actually quite a maybe aggressive negative song. It's quite interesting to see it here. And my favorite song is this one, the bottom one of the row of 3, which is called Dear Boy, which is a song I just really love. If you go to a second release, you see that the songs develop in a way more positive way. So Gone is the negative song on the top left, and you see way more positive songs on the right. So it looks like it might be developing in a sort of positive way for him. And then his last release is actually quite balanced. It's almost like sort of an abstract butterfly you see, with the wing on the left, wing on the right, and like the body in the middle. And if you combine it all together, this is his discography basically. So this is the sentiment of Avicii's discography, and you get a better sense of the development if you see them underneath each other. So you see the first release, a second release, and a third release. And I basically started asking myself when I was talking to friends and colleagues, like, am I capable of getting any meaning out of this? Because it's a machine applying like sentiment analysis on text and it's getting a result. So what I would like to do, what I started doing after that is applying a sort of smell test. So I don't know if you all know the term smell test. Yeah, some of you do, I see some people confirming. It's basically when an algorithm has a result for you, you sort of like check whether it's a proper result. So sometimes the results are pretty weird. And now I had a great punchline ready for you, but you just saw this slide, I think. So the number of people who dropped themselves into a pool, I just added it today as an extra joke, so it was really nice to see it. But this is a good example of why you should apply a smell test, because it's probably not really related, the number of people who drowned by falling into the pool and the films Nicolas Cage appeared in. So, but I want to do a test with you as well. So this was the first song, Liar Liar. You can read the lyrics if you want, but this has the result on the left already. I want to go through 3 songs with you, and you can decide for yourself whether you think it's a positive, negative, or neutral song. So this is his hit song, Wake Me Up. On the right you see the song text. You probably know it by heart a little bit. So I'll give you like 10 more seconds to read it a little bit. Probably you know it. So can I see some hands for people who think it is a positive song? I see 1 hand, 2 hands, okay. Who here thinks it's a negative song? That's more than 2 hands. And who thinks it's a neutral song? Right? Well, the algorithm actually scores it as a neutral song. So some people maybe were correct, other people had a different opinion. Then another song, Dear Boy. On the right again you see the lyrics. So probably you don't know this one, it was part of his first release. So I'll give you 15 seconds for this instead of 10. So who of you thinks this is a negative song? Who thinks it's a, well, I see half a hand. Who thinks it's a positive song? And who thinks it's a neutral song? Well, the algorithm says it's a positive song. So again, everyone was thinking something else. And then the last example, don't laugh yet.
Can you actually zoom in?
I can try, but it's the last one, so maybe you can try to read it. I only have 20 minutes, so yeah. So it's really a song about a guy who's in love and stuff like that. He's really happy. I'm spoiling the whole. So who thinks it's a negative song? Who thinks it's a neutral song? Who thinks it's a positive song? Well, it's actually one of his most positive songs according to the algorithm. But yeah, as I just mentioned, the question I wanted to answer is, am I capable of getting any meaning out of this? Is this algorithm really telling me what the music is about? And I think the answer is pretty clear. It's not really, because everyone has a different opinion and music is really a personal thing. So what I did is, instead of throwing my whole analysis out, I took a whole different direction. So I again looked at the graph and basically decided to use different colors. So I used colors based on his album instead of sentiment. Then I removed all the graph elements. Then I also applied some new colors so they better suited all the albums. And then I ended up putting it on a t-shirt. I used my favorite music and my programming skills to create a t-shirt of an artist that I really like. Which is something, yeah, it's my personal wearable homage to Avicii. So I created Python to create a t-shirt, which is something I'm just really happy with. And the nice thing is that it's all scalable because it's programmed. So I don't know if there are any Jack Johnson fans out here, or more fan of Jack Johnson than Avicii maybe. But this is actually the same thing, but then for 3 of Jack Johnson's releases. And the first thing I really thought was, whoa, that guy is really negative. It sounds really positive, but the lyrics are apparently really negative to a computer. And if you start listening to it that way, he sounds really positive, but he's only complaining about what's wrong with everyone. If you listen to Jack Johnson again, keep that in mind. Another interesting thing is, I use a website called Redbubble to print a t-shirt. And I thought, oh, can I also use these images to promote my work? And basically I Googled for it, and the first hit said on their own website, yes you can. So I was like, yes, I can use all their images. And this basically means that whenever I upload an image, it gives me all these products in all variety of colors that I can use for my own promotions. So I did another analysis for an artist, and with a bit of photoshopping I create a pretty nice product image if I want to. So I can go from Python in roughly 1 hour to a product image of an artist, and I can do this for any text that I get. And here you have some examples of Avicii, Lemaitre, Fleetwood Mac, and GTA Vice City. I don't know if some GTA Vice City fans out here, but it's a radio station of one of my favorite video games. So you can also do it for that. So anything that's text can be plotted like this. And then I like to talk to you about what came next, because this was basically my first try with using Python to create basically a visual I really like. I don't know if you know what happened on June 6, 2019, but that was when his I think it's officially called the posthumous release came out, so it's the album Tim, and basically he was working on an album during the time that he died, and the people who worked together with him on the album decided to still release the album and finish some of the songs. So I did again the same analysis. So here you see this, which is really balanced if you look at it. So I really like that. I applied some new things to my script so I can also see the songs on the dot, so it's a bit easier to look at. I think one of the songs is Heaven, together with Chris Martin, singer of Coldplay. It's all the way on the right, it's quite positive. But I wanted to do something different with the visual this time. So what I started doing is I removed all the sentiment stuff, and I started numbering the dots based on the index of the songs. Again, I removed all the unnecessary elements. And what I have now is a sort of game of connected dots. I don't know if you still know it, but there's a challenge you often have this drawing, and you could connect the dots of all the songs. So this is what happens when you connect all the dots, and it's an interesting visual, but I didn't really like it, and I was just trying out a lot of stuff, and I found out that within Python you can also, instead of drawing a straight line, you can give each dot a sort of a force, and curve the line as if each song has a sort of gravity. So you end up with this shape, and probably you know what I'm getting at. This is the sort of visual that came out. And I again made it into a T-shirt. So this is again a Python-generated visualization, and this is more, if I would refer to the last presentation, I think data art than really a visualization. But what I like about this visual is that it almost shows like the T of Tim, and Avicii's real name is Tim Bergling, so it's funny how an algorithm and some creative visualization sort of creates almost a signature-looking sign of his songs, which is something I just find really interesting. And again, it's just a Python function. So in this case, I have plot path from data frame as a function. I can add a data frame, so I can do this for other songs as well. So I have a few more examples. So this again is Avicii and album Tim. Are there any Daft Punk fans out here? Like Daft Punk, I see 2 hands, 3 hands. This is random access memories analyzed, and probably the last one everyone knows, Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, one of the best-selling albums of all time. This is Fleetwood Mac analyzed by a computer and visualized in Python. I also put the whole song on GitHub, so if you want to use it yourself, you can grab the code and just work with it. I would also like to thank Avicii, because he was a really great inspiration to me. I made a new visualization based on his music, and I still listen to his music regularly. And I want to thank you for listening to my story. And here you have a link to the story as well, and you can say hi to me on LinkedIn if you want. Thanks.